You don't need their opinion or their approval, but be open to their advice. There's a quiet liberation that comes the moment you stop seeking permission to be yourself. Opinions and approval are easy to come by, they want to be given away. What's hard and rare is grounded judgment, honest feedback, and actionable advice from people who actually understand what you're trying to build. This article is about drawing that line. How to live without depending on other people's validation while staying open to the kind of counsel that moves you forward. It also accepts an uncomfortable truth: no one is going to feel sorry for you for long. That reality is a call to responsibility, not a reason to shrink. The difference between opinions, approval, and advice. Opinions are disposable. They are an emotional reaction filtered through someone else's values, fears, and limited context. Approval is conditional and fleeting. It can buoy you temporarily, but it never builds a foundation you can stand on. Advice is utilitarian. Good advice is offered with context, clarity, and a willingness to accept that you may reject it. Treat opinions like noise, approval like icing, and advice like tools. Tools can be useful, even if you don't like the person who hands them to you. Opinions and approval should not be the architect of your life. Why you don't need other people's approval. Approval shapes behavior more than outcomes. When you chase approval, you optimize for being liked rather than for achieving goals. Approval is inconsistent. People change their minds, switch values, and vote with changing interests. Basing decisions on that shifts your ground constantly. Approval drains agency. Seeking permission to act hands control of your life to external forces. Replace approval seeking with calibration. Measure your choices against your own values, your long-term goals, and the objective results you want. Approval is a lagging indicator. Effectiveness and integrity are leading ones. Why advice is different and how to use it. Good advice accelerates learning. It's the difference between wandering and following a map. But advice must be filtered. Source matters. Prefer advice from people with demonstrated competence, integrity, or proximity to the problem you're solving. Intent matters. Is the advice given to help you, make the advisor look good, or exert control? Choose the helpful counsel. Outcome matters. Test advice against results. Keep what works, discard what doesn't. How to take advice without losing yourself. Ask clarifying questions rather than seeking validation. Translate advice into experiments, not commandments. Keep the final decision. Advice is input, you are the decision maker. No one is going to feel sorry for you long, and why that's useful. Sympathy is limited. Most people move on quickly because they have their own survival to manage. Expecting prolonged pity creates dependency and delays action. Instead, let that truth motivate a shift to responsibility. Own your problems early. The sooner you take action, the more options you preserve. Convert setbacks into data. Failures are information you use to iterate faster. Build systems, not sympathy. Systems produce results. Sympathy produces temporary comfort. Real-world progress rarely comes packaged with applause. It's produced by people who clean up their own messes and keep building. Practical steps to act on this mindset. Conduct a permission audit. List decisions you've delayed because you wanted approval. For each one, is approval necessary for the outcome? If not, set a deadline and act. Build an advice network. Identify 3 people whose judgment you trust for different areas: career, relationships, craft. Ask for specific, actionable feedback, then test it. Practice selective silence. Do the work quietly. Announce less, deliver more. Results change conversations more than talk ever does. Create an approval buffer. Before you ask for feedback, state your goal and the constraints. This frames advice as useful input rather than a vote on your worth. Learn to fail forward. Design small, cheap experiments to test others' advice and your own ideas. Iterate quickly based on outcomes. Strengthen self-accountability. Keep a short weekly review. Note 1 decision you made without approval, 1 piece of advice you applied, and 1 outcome. Repeat. When to ignore advice and when to double down. Ignore advice when it contradicts your core values or comes without evidence of competence. Ignore advice that aims to manage your fear rather than solve the problem. Double down on advice that helps you get measurable progress, expands your capability, or protects your long-term leverage. Advice is a signal, not a script. Treat it like an offer you can accept, modify, or refuse. Closing. You don't need other people's opinions or approval to live a meaningful, productive life. You do, however, benefit from being open to honest, informed advice. That openness paired with fierce personal responsibility creates speed and resilience. Remember, the world won't feel sorry for you forever. It will notice results. Stop asking for permission to become who you are. Ask for the right input, then get to work.